Ah. Hello. All right. So the defense replays. Here we go. Let me get these out. Now that well, I'm gonna. Well, it's recorded already. I'm doing this. The replays are recorded, but the commentary. I'm doing this after the banner drop. So initial impressions. We're gonna go over those, or at least mine, and just some of the stuff as well that went through or went on in this last Astra Anima season. It was rather interesting to see the impact of the newest mythic here, Elm, on defense, and to see what he is looking to offer and how he will impact the landscape of Ether Raid's defense in the weeks to come. My particular defense here has not changed. I was planning to change it, or I tried to change it, but Marth is not playing friends with the rally trap, so I booted him out. So Marth isn't here. Although I do think I would like to incorporate him to some extent on this defense moving forward. And I also don't know what it means. Well, Elm isn't in Dark Season, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so for Anima season at the very least, I think I plan to incorporate Elm to some extent, Marth to some extent, just because of what he's capable of. But it also means that I have to break the whole thing up, which I don't enjoy doing because it's so good, the defense that I have here. It's very functional, as you see Micaiah taking out Neathogger there, and Athos warping in. Yeah, it's so functional that I really don't enjoy breaking the thing. But there's a critical flaw here with Elm being a thing now in Micaiah. Her spot on the team is not covered by... well, she is covered, in terms of near save. Typically, that position is covered by the near save and the far save, but the problem is Elm has feud, so she just gets bombed. Well, it's not even feud, that he has undefended when he attacks. So here we go with the first instance of it. From what I saw, the majority of the players that initiated into my defense with Elm were able to identify this particular gap and exploit it to varying degrees of success. Not everyone was able to make the most of it. A lot of them got stuck, or a lot of them just didn't know what they were doing and ended up losing as a result of it. So here's the first instance of Elm attacking into the defense, and as I mentioned, Micaiah went down. That's the route that is exposed, and I would exploit as well if I were attacking into it. I wouldn't necessarily have Elm go all the way up there, but yeah, I'd be doing something like this. Though Tiki is here. Every time she pops up, she dies, pretty much. She does absolutely nothing. She's... I don't know if the bolt tower is to be blamed, because a lot of the times, by the time turn 3, she's essentially coming out when the bolt tower is popping up or popping off, and she doesn't have Hathrin support to heal, so she kind of just gets blasted in the face, which is unfortunate for her because she doesn't have the most HP to deal with that type of thing. So I guess it wasn't the best design from for that I implemented. Maybe I should have went back to the drawing board on that one. I was thinking, after watching these, I was thinking Marth would have been probably better in that spot, but then also Marth would have also broken my rally trap, so it would have defeated the purpose. So yeah, still, if I want to, run this particular defense in whatever capacity, here we have someone messing up here. I don't think he realized that Rhea would have hit this hard. With Seta support to some extent, but then also Rhea just kind of hits hard with the Erica ring, so she kind of just blew up Sharina there. I feel like we're gonna get another unit at some point, maybe Brave, because Sharina won, no? Yeah, so she's gonna get we're gonna get another unit that can do the thing that Bridal Sharina does, where after they end turn, if someone attacks, they gain back their action. I feel like that's a very strong effect, and I would like to see a little bit more of that. And I don't mind it being a Sharina exclusive thing. I think I mentioned that before, but I think it's really strong, especially against traps. But yeah, what was I saying? Tiki. I don't know if she's the right unit for that spot. The reason I put her there was because of, well, she kind of ticked all the boxes. Distant counter, fairly bulky, adds support with stats and stuff, and could potentially survive against Elm if she wasn't getting blasted that often by the Bolt Tower. Or, you know, it would really be the AoEs, I guess. Yeah, she doesn't have a way to heal pre-combat damage, so that was a weakness of that particular pick, but I couldn't think of anyone else that would go there. Originally, I had Hearthfelger there, and she would have probably faced the same fate, because essentially that's a 1 versus 1 spot, so it's a 1v1 spot in the sense that whoever pops out there is going to have to fend for themselves against Elm in Anima season. Typically that spot is covered by Nearseer and Farsave, but with Elm there, that is no longer the case. They have to be able to survive by themselves. They have to have some amount of self-sustain, and Tiki was the main unit that I had at that time that kind of fit that build. Looking at everything, and I also kind of wanted to try her out just to see how well she would perform, and needless to say, I was a bit disappointed. I was also thinking of putting Tamara there. I don't know, maybe I should have done that instead, but I'm kind of like, my primary concern with my Tamara is that she doesn't have the most amount of merges, so I was kind of worried about her being outsped, whereas Tiki, new unit, better stats, probably will survive. The unit here, the Neathogger here, is going to survive because of the support that is around, and also the fact that the best way to counter Micaiah is to bring your own Micaiah. So some of the stuff that Micaiah would bring is being countered here, but really some of it came down to Tiki's support. As you can see her narrowly surviving against my Micaiah. Yeah, that's what was, and also Ather as well. Those two things are missing in the first Neathogger matchup, so that allowed them to win. But also Neathogger had higher ground, which prevented Edelgard from warping in. Edelgard would have just taken out Tiki, which is typically what would have happened, but she couldn't reach. So GG's, they won that one pretty straightforward because my defense was out of position. This was the first Camilla for this season, and as you can see, Sakura is the partner here. Erica Ring, Hardy Bearing, which allows them to get the Brave hit off, even though they are running Hardy Bearings. Interesting tech option. You don't necessarily, I don't particularly like it because it's really just geared at the first combat. But if you're doing enough damage, you can probably get away with a one-hit KO when you're running Fatal Smoke. So, you know, it kind of works for itself, but I don't particularly like it all that much. I wouldn't run it personally. But as you can see here, or as you're about to see here, he's going to demolish my defense with it by taking out the first 2 warp inhibitors, or the only 2 warp inhibitors I have, and then he'll go in with Edelgard here to figure out, you know, take out everything else. And then he has Plumeria as well to help him out with a little bit of action economy. Plumeria is this meta's version of Dual Peony. That's essentially what this Plumeria is. She upgraded version, does fairly the same thing, and Dual Peony took such a long time to fall off. Well, she's still very good. Didn't get a refund, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Dual Peony is still very good, but Plumeria is essentially an upgraded version of that. Both of them still very good. A lot of times I try to figure out a way to run both of them on the same team, but I just haven't come up with a solution as of yet. But that's what you're seeing there. Rising in popularity. A lot of people have used her SDR, Ather raids. A lot of people are coming around to the fact that she was probably the best unit on that spring banner. Yeah, that aside, I was saying about Tiki, for that spot where the secret unit pops out, that unit has to have distant counter at least in Anima season, in the event that you know, the saves are off. So the unit has to have distant counter, has to be strong enough to survive by themselves. So the only other option that I could think of is maybe Malice with distant counter echo, or just run an armored unit like Hector. The problem with that is that I kind of also like to have a little bit of threat range right there. So that unit would also, running Hector there would mean giving him Celica Ring so they can warp and do stuff, but Celica Ring is already on Edelgard, so it's not a great transition. Some of these I'm not going to play all of them because it's a long enough video already, so yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out if I can fit a different unit in there, or if I'm going to have to just change the whole thing, which it's kind of looking like I'm going to have to change the whole thing, since I'm not able to resolve the Micaiah issue, since she is always going to die to Elm, even if I gave her close combat. She does a big chunk of damage to him, but she dies because of no follow-up. Yeah, don't know who I'll put there, because essentially whoever I put there, they have to match the. It has to be a flyer with. It has to be a flyer with. It has to be a flyer. Reason being because of the tree tile that's there. Here, Tiki dying again. Every time she pops up, she dies. It's kind of silly, but promising combat here against Erica. Able to survive quite a bit. Well, I guess some of that is down to Rhea, I guess. But yeah, anyone that I put in Micaiah's spot has to be able to fly over the tree, and they also have to be able to survive against Elm, since he's the main initiator that I've been seeing. But then also someone else can go up there, like an Edelgard. So not a lot of options that tick that box. And also they have to have guidance, because Edelgard needs to warp down there. But I guess Edelgard can warp down there with Sedith's support. So it's not 100%. I could move Micaiah back, but I have to put someone in front of Micaiah. That's the problem that I was having, and I was trying to put Marth there, but Marth just ruins everything with the rally trap. So currently I don't think there's a unit that I have, or that they're Plumeria, but then Plumeria isn't really an offensive unit. Yeah, just not a lot of options in terms of melee, warp. Marth is really the... What I would also like... this came across... I want to see like a comparison between Marth and Sedith, because I feel like Marth is definitely the... Did I say this before? I don't know. Yeah, I would like to see just how close they are in terms of stats and everything that they're giving out. It's unfortunate, again, that Marth is giving out blue bonuses, whereas Sedith has in combat stats. In combat stats are always going to be better. But yeah, I want to see like a comparison just between the two to see how close they are in terms of similarity. Separate topic. But back to what I was saying, I can't think of a unit that's a flyer that offers guidance and some amount of combat, not necessarily combat, some amount of enemy phase survivability. I can't think of a unit that ticks all those boxes, aside from maybe Legendary Sita, but she doesn't have her advantage against Elm. Maybe if you had her invested enough, she could survive, but I don't have the utmost confidence in her living that combat. So that's the reason that I didn't run her there. But she was the one that really came to mind, but I didn't have any belief. I didn't test it. If I had tested to find out if she would have lived, then maybe I would have done it. But then also, I'd be taking out Sedith for her. And that's a... there's only one Sedith, and the only one that's kind of close, in my opinion, is Marth. So, yeah. Not that many options. Alternatively, Bulwark, but that would only be on turn 3, so, you know, and then options again for removing Tiki. I didn't want to go with another armored unit that had 1 movement, so nothing really came to mind at the time. Aside from Tiki and Tamara, Erica would have been interesting, but I didn't want to waste the blessing, and also... yeah, I didn't want to do that. Another Vantage unit, maybe. Thinking about Bernadetta, but Healing Tower, that wouldn't have worked. Who else Vantage as well? Camilla, but yeah, no. Not a lot of Vantage options that I can think of immediately, and or at the time. And in terms of miracle support, you'd be looking at Melee Miracle. you'd be looking at maybe Malice. And again, I didn't want to use Malice there. I think she also had a 25% HP condition. All of those boxes ticked. This guy messed up here, allowing Valentine. He had the opportunity to take out Valentine's Edelgard earlier, but he allowed her to survive. I guess he didn't want to test the traps, and yeah, well, I don't know, but here she goes to make him regret that mistake. But yeah, the only other option that I had to put in the slot that Tiki was in was Desert Ike, Midriff Ike. I think he's looking a lot better now in terms of a Omni tank or a frontline option, because of his ability to just survive and tank things. So yeah, I was really considering him, but I ended up going with Tiki. And I don't know, I didn't particularly like the outcome. But Ike is definitely someone that I'm considering for that frontliner role. But I think I'm going to have to retire this defense since there's no way to replace Sedith with dual Marth because the rally trap will be broken. So I don't know. Until we get someone that's Sedith but also no blue buffs, I don't think I'll be able to use this defense again because of Elm. Or maybe we get someone that stops the mid-turn. Well, then stops the mid-turn undefended, but then also is able to survive against Elm. And those boxes aren't ticked yet. So yeah, I'm going to have to retire this and build another defense for Ather Anima, which is going to be a ton of work. I really like the rally trap because it adds that surprise element. Subtracting that, you're probably going to have to build either something that's hyper offensive or something that is turn 1 initiate. And not a lot of options for that. If you're going to turn 1, you probably want to have Camilla there because of the threat range, but she kind of also has to go in the back. How do you resolve those two competing ideas? I don't know. And then who is supporting Camilla as an initiator? She's melee. You run Yunaka with her. I don't know. It's just a lot to consider, and I kind of like having Yunaka on offense. I don't want to bless her for defense. So it's really because of the range. Not a lot of units cover that similar range, which is again a problem. If they didn't have a unit that went that far to begin with, then I wouldn't have to worry about partnering that unit with someone else. Annoying. But yeah, not a lot more significant really happened. There are a couple more defeats that are going to pop up, and I will hopefully remember to cover them as they come across my my line of sight. So in the meantime, what I'll do is talk about the trailer and my thoughts on just Edelgard stomping. She had a fantastic week, despite the new mythic and everything. She had a fantastic week. She really just bodied a lot of people, and it was very fun to watch. But yeah, thoughts on the new units. Alir, not surprised by the addition because it is, in terms of the rotation, time for the fallen units to beat them engage. Not surprised that Alir went first since they're typically the most popular units from the game. I probably would throw Ivy in there as well. Maybe even Diamond even. But, Alir, apparently they sell. So the Alir is popped up first. Very good Daunt effects, very good range. I love armored, and I love the stat swings that both of them offer. Looking at this particular defense, if I would run either of them, my answer would be no for this particular defense. Maybe the male Alir, since he has that miracle effect, he could probably live a hit and then swing back at Elm, but that would only be if he would win the speed check, and uncertain how that would go. Especially with the feud partnered by the Undefended, I don't really think he'd win the speed check there. A lot of that, again, until we start to get the... this is funny. Hector here is about to get blown up by Ather. So, yeah, that's not something you see quite often. Even though he doesn't have all of his support, but I mean, That's Hathram there. It's not really her job to take out Hector. What was I saying? Until we start getting I think the problem with one of the main problems with the summoning circle is the fact that it pops out on the same turn that the bolt tower goes off. Until it pops out on turn 2 or maybe even turn 4. I mean, why turn 4? But turn 2, I don't think we'll be able to fix that bolt tower issue. I mean, even if it does pop out on turn, well, threat range would force it to go sooner. Here we go with another Camilla. You can pretty much figure out what's going to happen here. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think this person lost. I think they played badly. I don't think they went in because they didn't have Hardy Bearing on Camilla. Oh, no. I don't remember what happened here, but I'm pretty sure that they lost. I think they tried to tank, and Edelgard kind of stomped. So, yeah. Just watch and see what happens there. But I think turn 2 summoning circle is going to be the best upgrade that defense will have in the foreseeable future, unless they introduce something completely different in terms of a new mechanic. But turn 2 summoning circle is definitely going to be where it's at, because it's going to have way more offensive pressure alongside Lin Ring on turn 2, and you couple those things together, it's going to be really difficult, or really, I think difficult is the right word to counter that. And I would love to see that upgrade. Same as well for offense. Being able to have that unit pop out earlier definitely will help your chances of winning on offense. So far, Elm has been in some of these matches, but the opponents have either just failed to figure out how to get up there, or they've just bodied me completely by exploiting the issue that I already knew existed with the defense. It definitely looks like a user issue or a user error. If you're losing with Elm, definitely a user error. Gotta know how to build a team around him, it seems, and how to use him to exploit weaknesses in your opponent's defense. That's what I've seen thus far. So the layers are cool in terms of the debuffs and stuff. Twin save effects built in. I get it twice. I like that. It's really good on the save version of Alir, because she's a green armored dragon, which means that she'd probably die without it to Emblem Erica. So it's great that she has that to be able to survive. Emblem Erica, I feel, is really, in terms of melee nukes, right behind Camilla, if I were to rank them. And then male Alir, lots of shades of fallen female Byleth, but Byleth is just cooler, so that's where my money goes. And also she has Vantage, so again, that's just where my money goes, to Byleth. The Miracle is cool, and the No Counter Disrupt is also cool, the support effect. But I mean, they're going to be both of them in the regular pool, so I don't really think it's like a must summon banner to get either of those two units. You'll probably pick them up in the future. Looking at Lena as well, just a reskin of an upgrade and reskin of Fallen Maria. And I prefer Fallen Maria because, I kind of want to, she's so adorable, she just missed her nap. That's really all it is. She's a little bit cranky. But Lena offers the same thing as Fallen Maria, so not a lot of difference there. Hathern, again, Becky is going on a rampage this season. Another kill, taking out Dual Marth there, although he had no support, it is to be said. But I'm surprised by the fact that she one-shot him. Very impressive. But yeah, Lena, nothing really new there. I'm surprised that they even bothered to extend the range of the Miracle effect and even put out another unit. Lena had no business being on that banner thematically. I don't even know why she was there. Could have been someone from Engage or maybe even Three Houses, I don't know. But yeah, not quite sure why they did that. Who else? Sakura, my god, plus Elm, very, very annoying, especially when he has the Erica ring. He was able to pretty much hit and run my entire defense. This was a clean clear. They bodied everything that I had. Very well played, as you will see. But yeah, Dedu, definitely the star of the banner. In terms of rearmed units, I think he's better than Pajaji, Beefcase. Who would I compare him to? Who's the best rearmed unit that we currently have? Maybe Nell, because she's the most recent in memory. But I definitely think this Dedu is number one in terms of rearmed units currently. They can all run the attune skills, if I'm not mistaken, so I think you should be able to give him distant counter. Even though he doesn't need it, actually. He got that in the beast transformation, so he doesn't even need it. What would he even give him? Not quite sure. Maybe a low of Alm, so they can neutralize. He wouldn't have to run that other fighter skill. I mean, there aren't that many options, really. But yeah, I think he is fantastic. Really like what he does. Like the introduction of the new range for the save skills. That's pretty cool. But then also, I feel like it would have been way more influential if Elm wasn't a thing. I feel like Elm should have been a little bit further on down the line. There was no reason to put him in the meta. There's no reason to release Elm at the time that they did. They really could have waited.
Behave yourself. So I can like defense.
Yeah. Again, they forgot about Edelgard, and yeah. But yeah, Elm, they really could have waited to release him. He didn't need to be out right now. Looking at where the meta was trending, or the game was trending in terms of like saves versus, you know, not having saves, the armored units were only going to get bulkier. And at some point, we were going to need a way to counter them in terms of, you know, being able to break through. Looking at what Dedu is offering in terms of how strong he is, if, you know, without Elm, like, he's a very, very powerful save. Same can be said about the Ather. So without Elm, they would have been very meta impactful and on the same level of Rhea for quite a long time. And I feel like they should have been given the opportunity to have that run and then have Elm come out as a full counter to the whole save thing, and we can just forget about it at that time. But to have him before the extent, I feel like that was a missed opportunity in the release of the release timetable of the units in question, and in terms of what they countered. I feel like they definitely should have waited on releasing Elm a little bit more, introduced the extended range of the save skills before they did that, because I feel like what Dedu is doing is a big help to, or a big support or counter to the increased threat range that units have these days. I feel like that's what Dedu was introduced to do, or is supposed to be able to do, especially if Elm is not in existence, so let's say in Light and Dark Season. I feel like that's going to be a great place to have someone like Dedu. The problem is Elm, of course, and it's not giving that particular mechanic the opportunity to be as impactful as it should be, because it's a very strong mechanic to be able to save from 4 spaces away. I think it's very good, and I do see more of that being introduced in the future. I don't know how they'll implement it, if it'll be like an upgrade to save skills in general, or unit specific in terms of just releasing units that have that particular effect in their weapon, or save skill specific skills for them, like Mur had. I don't know if that'll be the case moving forward, but I definitely see range increase. The fact that they jumped it all the way to 4 from 2 to 4 was interesting as well. Don't know what that means. Are we going to be getting more 3 spaces support, or are we just going to ignore 3 space support and go all the way to 4 spaces moving forward? I don't know, but I like it. I also like the introduction of the new B skill. I feel like they're trying to put out new armored skills to help brave Corrin, perform better when her Refine and Remix comes around. All of this is in expectation that I think she's going to be nuts. The special fighter skill that's for dragons that the Ather has, I think that'll be really good on her because it has the scowl built in. and the special jump and everything. I think it's really good for her. Comparison between it and Edge Scales, I'm not quite sure which one's better currently, but Edge Scales is just really good because of the frozen effect. But yeah, we're just months away from Brave Corn's refine, and I think she will be very good when she gets it. As usual, armored units on the Brave banners typically age well, even though she's one of the ones that's dependent on speed. Here we go again, another Camilla. Feud, which is good. It's going to be good here, you will see in a second. Both of my losses were primarily more so to Camilla than Elm himself, but he was on the team, so I guess you can count it either way. Gato dying here, unfortunately. I think we had a total of about 4 losses, and all of them had some type of Camilla Elm strategy. So I think I like the probably early adoption in terms of the number of matchups that I saw with Elm, and then also just user error. So it's safe to say that we'll be seeing a lot more of him moving forward, so it's probably best to start building your defense with him in mind if you haven't already done that. I didn't, but well, I couldn't figure out a way. I didn't really think that hard into it, to be honest, but I'm probably going to have to start doing that for Anima season moving forward. I don't know what it means for Light and Dark season. They might just ignore that particular avenue for a while, because we're looking at what Ather offers, and there isn't a version of that in Dark season, in Anima season yet. And something like Duma with his catapult ability has not been introduced in Light and Dark season, so maybe there's just never going to be another unit like Elm. But then there's Elmbla, but I'm really making reference to the mid-turn thing, so I don't know, maybe they'll keep that unique to Elm for quite a bit. But yeah, Camilla being Camilla here, blowing stuff up. I think she'll be a very good counter to Dedue as well, just because of she hits hard, good color, desperation. Yeah, unless you want to give Dedue Hardy Bearing, but I don't know what you want to do with that. Miracle, but then also Fatal Smoke, so counterplay. More thoughts on Dedue. I think he's really good. Really like him. Very good addition for armors in general, beast armors as well. I heard a couple people talking about upgrading Canagus, even though I don't see the point because he's so old. I kind of did the same thing with Hector. I think I've been thinking about giving him Brave Hector Johanna Lance, but I was just like, why? Why would I do that? It's like, I mean, he's heavily invested, and it's kind of a shame to just have him sitting there doing nothing, but why would I do that? I don't know. I'm not going to use him anywhere. I haven't been using him, so I don't know. But I think it's a great addition to potentially upgrade your beast units. I don't think it's like the greatest thing for beast armors per se, but I think it has to be beast armors because I think Ather had a beast inheritable weapon, but it was only for calves. So I think his is only for armors, maybe, but also I could be wrong. I don't know. But I think overall, the other stuff that he's introduced with the save and the beast skill and just the bulk and everything, I feel like he's a very well-built armored unit, rearmed armored unit, in comparison to, again, Beefcakes, who I feel like they really messed that up by giving her the Pathfinder and her beast skill. Even if they did that, they probably should have given her a better, if you're going to give them a perf, make it better, and that's what they did with Dedue. So clearly either favoritism or they just didn't care about the unit. Well, I guess that boils down to favoritism. So yeah, it's good to see that Dedue got done justice. More beast units in the game that are very strong. Blue Beast, which means that he should do very well against Marth and Elm as well. So you can also just put him on the front line if you're looking to swap out Rhea. I've seen a few people swap Rhea into Fire Save, but I don't think that's the greatest role for her, especially in Ether raids. I don't recommend that. The Null Counter Disrupt for armors that the Alliers are offering, I think it's, at this point, it's like, you're still dead either way, so it's really neither here nor there. But it's interesting now that everyone can be Fjorm. Fjorm doesn't necessarily have that particular niche anymore, but she's still very strong. But then also you're forced into running one of the Alairs, and do you really want to? Do you have the economy for that on defense? I don't know if you do or not, but yeah, Fjorm no longer reigning supreme in that particular role, but I think she has done her job as just being a queen, and it's okay for her to step aside for a little bit until she gets to refine and stomps all over everyone all over again. So I'm looking forward to that with Ascended Fjorm at the very least. Remixes, I don't think they're out yet. As of recording, I haven't checked to see. Maybe it's going to be tomorrow when the banner drops. I don't know. Plans for summoning. I don't particularly think I'll go too deep because Dedu is probably the only unit that I'd want on that banner. Everyone else is going to be in a regular pool, so it's okay for me to not go too crazy. Yeah, I might not do a ton. I might even hold off on summoning because looking at the units and then looking at what I would do with them on defense, not very much that I would do with them on defense that really well, you can use them on defense. They don't add anything to my current roster of units. Aside from Dedu, who would be interesting to test out, I don't really see myself using them for anything really. I already have so many armors. So many armored units. We haven't had a... How many has it been so far? It's just upgrade after upgrade. They're just stepping on each other's toes. So there's no real reason for me to add any of them into the mix. Again, here we see someone forgot to... This person definitely had the opportunity to take out Edelgard and did not do it. So yeah, she is taking revenge for all of the her friends that died. So yeah, she's stomping here. And yeah, this is pretty much what the season was. And again, she's very strong. This is one of the few times that Tiki popped out and didn't die. But it was just because it was super duper early. 4 and 11, not bad, I guess. Here we go, Medius, Chaos Season. I keep saying Medius. What's this dude's name, man? I forget, but this is what it's looking like. I'm gonna see what I can build. GG's.